You see? Opposed to the Talmudim -1, who Mashiach Yahusha said, I don't look to you as being servants. I look to you as being my friends. See? We have a choice to be a friend to Elohim. The question is, what will we choose? But let's keep it moving. We're going to look at another example of emotions in Holy Scripture, and this will be our last example for today. Have a couple more things to go through, and then we'll be done. This is coming from 1 Kings chapter 21, starting at verse 1. After these things, Naboth, the Yisraeli, had a vineyard, which was in Yisrael, next to the place of Ahab, or Ahab, king of Samaria. Ahab spoke to Naboth, saying, Give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near my house, and I will give you for it a better vineyard than it. Or, if it seems good to you, I will give you its worth in money. Naboth said to Ahab, May Yahweh forbid me, that I should give the inheritance of my fathers to you. Verse 4. And it says, Ahab came into his house sullen and angry, because of the word which Naboth the Yisraeli had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give you the inheritance of my fathers. He laid himself down on his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread. Think about that. You know, and I'm sure each of us have had situations in our lives where something didn't occur the way that we wanted it to occur. Matter of fact, anger was explained to me that way years ago. You know, when we get angry about something, it's because it went against our expectations. Okay? We were expecting one thing to happen and something else happened. Or something unexpected takes place that we weren't prepared for. That causes us to be angry. So what happens a lot of times, and when I read this, I just imagine like a little child coming in because they're upset, stomping upstairs to the room, you know, getting on that bed and laying on the bed and then folding their arms up, laying down and facing the wall. And when it's time to eat, I don't want nothing to eat, because they're so upset. And they're so sad because they didn't get what they wanted. Think about that. Think about life. Sometimes we just not going to get what we want. But for some, they can't accept that. So if I can't get what I want, I'm going to take it. Remember what? The thoughts. See, we talk about desiring something. That's a thought. You have that desire. You want this thing, right? So you go about to get this thing, which he did. Didn't turn out his way. Now, because things didn't turn out the way he wanted, it caused an emotional reaction. And that emotional reaction eventually is going to be shown forth in behavior. But here's the thing. The behavior will not be of his own doing. You know, we're not going to get into that so much, but I'm going to make a point of this. The word translated as sullen comes from number 5620. The word is sorrow. It means peevish. And it has here a breakdown of the term peevish. It says, possibly from Latin perversus, which means turn the wrong way, or perverse, to turn around, to corrupt. Okay? But then you have another term, the 2198, za'ef, which means angry. And it's derived from number 2196, za'af, which means to boil up. Okay? Now, when this took place, we go back to 1 Kings 21, picking up in verse 5. It says, But Jezebel, his wife, came to him and said to him, Why is your spirit so sad that you eat no bread? Okay. Now, what I wanted to interject here is some of the symptoms of depression, which are feelings of sadness. I'm not going to go through the whole list. I have several here, but I just want to touch on a couple of them. Irritability or frustration. When we get sad, we get irritable, we get frustrated. Loss of interest or pleasure. You don't want to do anything. And then you have reduced appetite. And I named these because you can see clearly from the example that a lot of that's going on. He began to isolate himself, laying down, facing the wall, okay, not eating anything, etc. Okay. Now here's the other question. How is the opponent able to capitalize off our emotions when we feel a certain way? Because remember, our emotions are going, thoughts affect the emotions affect your behavior. Our emotions are going to be what drives us to do or to say whatever we do, whatever we say. Okay? I want to read something to you. Now, this coming from a website called thearcanelaboratory.com. Thearcanelaboratory.com. And this is Top 10 Brainwashing Techniques Used by Social Engineers to Control Your Mind. Now, I'm not going to read all 10 of them. I'm going to focus on the second one. Okay. In the mainstream media, repetitive emotional manipulation, okay? Emotional manipulation is number 2 as far as the top 10 brainwashing techniques. And I wanted to mention this. Now, I wanted to also reference what was mentioned earlier when we go, matter of fact, let me go back to that real quick. When we were talking about the mentalism. And there's several types of mentalism. Now, you have telepathy, you have psychic visions, you have ESP, you have psychokinesis, but then you have mind control. Okay? And the focal point, of course, right now is the mind control. When you think about the type of conditioning, when you think about mentalism, now you're thinking about the idea of brainwashing. Okay? Again, in the mainstream media, repetitive emotional manipulation is used to put you in a heightened state, as this makes it harder for you to employ logic. Okay? Repetition combined with emotion can literally coerce the public to back any agenda. Shema Israel, Shema, Shema, Shema. Listen attentively, intelligently. Pay attention. Repetition combined with emotion can literally coerce the public to back any agenda, especially if it would have been otherwise unpopular. Nazi Reich Minister of Propaganda Joseph Goebbels summed it up much better than I can. This is the quote here. Listen to this quote. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. He is a liar and the father of it. Okay? When he tells a lie, he tells his own. When he says he's the father of it, he's the originator. In other words, he's the master of it. Okay? Let's continue. Inducing fear, sympathy, and anger. These are your top 3 emotions. Fear, sympathy, and anger are among the most popular manipulated emotions, especially if this is done repeatedly. Common tactics the media uses include, listen to these examples, terror alerts to induce fear. We just went through this whole pandemic, and they keep putting on there all of the people that's dying from this thing, dying from this thing, dying from this thing, right? Now, condolences to every family who lost a loved one from COVID-19. Condolences. But when we look at the statistics in light of the amount of people in the world, the people that died from it, as has been brought forth, they had underlying conditions. And the majority of the people that actually contracted the illness survived it. They survived. I myself had COVID. I may have had it twice. I know for certain that I had it once because I got tested for it. But survived it. And what's funny about it is that I had to stay out of work for 2 weeks. And for that 2 weeks, I was perfectly fine. I was sick for like 2, maybe 3 days at the most. But other than that, I was perfectly fine. But They keep putting it on the media, the people that's dying from this thing, people that's dying from this thing. And people were afraid. Now look at what's happening. Look at all of the pullback that's going, the backtracking. Okay. Next one. Racism or discrimination to induce anger. Okay. Now what they're going to need something like a George Floyd. See? How they pumped that up and see what they did and see what the result of that was. Okay. Again, condolences to the George Floyd family. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that to disrespect the brother. A life is valuable, regardless. But my point in mentioning him is to show how the media utilizes these things to cause other things to take effect. Okay? No disrespect to George Floyd or his family. Here's the third example. Taking advantage of a tragedy or crisis to induce sympathy. Now look what's happening with the Kanye West Kyrie Irving situation in regard to being anti-Semitic. So what they want to talk about now is the being sympathetic to what's going on among the Jewish people, because, as a matter of fact, I heard on a radio show, and I actually found this out in this radio show, that apparently they're attacking synagogues. I don't know if it's going on at the moment that this teaching is coming forth, but at some point in recent, maybe weeks or months, apparently there were attacks on synagogues. Again, it is not the intent to be disrespectful to anybody who was a victim of these attacks, because that too was wrong and it should not have been done.